Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. So in Bhaja Govindam we are seeing last two verses that we saw, they were about dependency in relationships and how a person who has the right perspective of the relationships will be loving but yet not very dependent. There are people who are valued only as long as they are productive. So that is one aspect of relationship, one attitude that people have towards others. And then there are people who genuinely love a person for the sake of love. And even there they come only till the grave. So essentially each one of us is alone and we have to manage our lives by ourselves. And so we saw a different perspective on the other side of passion, other side of greed, and then relationships. Now comes the very famous verse where Shankaracharya speaks about how our objects of dependency change, but the tendency to be dependent doesn't change. And that is what we must try to overcome, that tendency to be dependent. 7th verse. Balastavat krida saktaha Tarunastavat taruni saktaha Vriddhastavat chinta saktaha Parame brahmani kopi na saktaha Bhaja Govindam Bhaja Govindam Govindam Bhaja Modhamate. So he says Balastavat krida saktaha. As long as a person is a child, one is attached to the toys. Tarunastavat taruni saktaha. In the youth, one is attached to the pleasures of the youth. Vriddhastavat chinta saktaha. And when one becomes old, one is attached to worries. What will happen next? So he concludes saying, Parame Brahmani kopi na saktaha. Nobody is attached to realizing the supreme truth. Each one has the tendency to get attached to something or the other as the age matures. But the very tendency to depend, that does not change. So what is dependency and why should we drop dependency? Here is a small test for you. You take 5 minutes and write down your answers. You have to just answer in Y or N, yes or no. Anything means coffee can be. Yeah. See, this test is not to evaluate your dependency on coffee or not. Don't say that, I don't need coffee, so I'm not dependent. This is to understand the concept of dependency.
So, for generalize it, if somebody else comes.
Yeah. The idea is anybody who.
You as in anyone.
Yeah, anyone. See, this to understand if there is this equation in the mind, is it dependency? Not specifically for you.
I don't need coffee.
Yeah, it is not that I don't need coffee, so I'm not dependent on it. So for that the answer is no. This is not your personal dependency test. This is a dependency test just to know the difference between what is dependency and what is not dependency.
Then it differs from people, because I want friends, I cannot be happy.
Arey, that is what I'm saying. It is not dependent on you as a person.
This constitutes a dependency.
So you may or may not need friends. We are not bothered about that. If one says that without friends I cannot be happy, is it dependency or is it not dependency? As a principle, in general, then it is a dependency. Then you say yes. So this is for us to understand the dependency concept. You can put on this light. Bhaji, just tell. ये लाइट चालू कर दो. First light, first switch there. Done? How many still writing? Just why, no, why, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, you have to write. Done? Okay. Before we evaluate this, we have to understand what is dependency. What do you think is dependency? Something without which you cannot function. Okay. One aspect.
Makes you feel restricted.
You feel restricted. Okay.
You feel the outcome is dependent only on that fact or that situation.
Okay.
The outcome cannot be achieved without
Without a certain dependency. Okay.
mental instability without.
There is no flexibility.
Mentally one becomes disturbed, no flexibility. Okay. So the sense of dependency boils down to this, that my sense of self or identity or image depends on that object, person or situation. One. I depend on it for my happiness, love or peace. When these two happen, then a person is dependent on that. Now, keeping that in mind, let us evaluate this. I must have coffee first thing in the morning. Is it a dependency? No? One person said no, I think. Why is it not a dependency?
It's not necessary.
No, I am not asking you as an individual. This whole test is not for you as an individual. The test is in general, if somebody needs a coffee in the morning, is it dependency or not?
If the person becomes restless, then
I must have a coffee.
So it says I must have a coffee in first thing in the morning. Then it is a dependency. That without that, my mind cannot function properly, or I get a headache or whatever. There will be a functional dependence. There will be a dependency on that. Exercises are a must in one's life. Dependency? Just because the word must is there doesn't make it dependency. That's why this whole test is being given, so that we become clear about the concept of dependency. It's like saying breathing is a must for the body. Is it a dependency?
it's a nature.
That's the nature of the body. Otherwise the body cannot function only.
Exercise is a dependency.
If your body is dependent, you are exercising or not.
No, if you think that exercises are a must for me to look slim and trim and hence get appreciation, then it is a dependency. If it is a must for the body, for the health, it is not a dependency. It's like saying food is a must for the body.
It's a nature.
Now, body requires, it's a basic requirement which we call as functional dependency. See, there are two dependencies. One is called as a psychological dependency, other is called as a functional dependency. Now, functional dependency is not a problem. What binds us is a dependency which is psychological. Okay, so exercises are a must in one's life.
So coffee will be.
It is a psychological dependency. Coffee is not required in the morning. You can function without the coffee also. Body requires exercise, body requires food, body requires air, rest. One cannot say, no, I am going to train my body to be detached, not dependent, so I am going to starve it. Come on, that is not called detachment. That is not called trying to be independent. That is unnecessarily torturing oneself. Bhaja Govindam will say it further when it comes to that. At how people torture themselves in the name of trying to get out of desire. So they will scorch themselves in the sun and stand in front of the fire in the hot daytime, and in the night they will shiver in cold, but they will never use fire. All that. Why torture oneself? Just because one has a wrong concept of dependency. So what is a functional dependency is a functional dependency, and there's nothing wrong about it. What we have to be careful is that functional dependency doesn't become a psychological dependency. So this exercise is a must in one's life, is a must. Now if I realize this, I will start doing it. Otherwise what happens, I don't realize this, then later on I get a disease or something, and then the doctor says you make a lifestyle change and then you have to do exercise every day. So what is a functional dependency is a functional dependency, and it is a need of the body. In other words, we can call it that way. It is a need. It is not a dependency, it is not a want. I want to be successful. Psychological dependency. It is not a dependency. I want to be successful is a desire. I want to be successful. Natural desire in anybody. If I say that I have to be successful, then only I feel worthy, that is a dependency. I want to be successful is a normal, natural desire that one will have. Without friends, I cannot be happy. It's clearly dependency. I have to work daily. It is a psychological dependency, sorry, not a functional dependency. I have to work daily. Why can't you sit quietly for some time? Why can't you take an off one day? Why so much of restlessness to work?
That is also attached to
You see, this restlessness to work is not a functional need. I have to work is not a functional need. You can take off. No? The body is not pushing you, nor the mind has to work, otherwise you will go mad. If that happened, that is a psychological dependency.
then you can't face yourself.
Lot of people, that is why post-retirement don't know what to do. Because they are so attached to the work. So I must work or I have to work daily is a psychological dependency. I may need to work daily because of whatever my circumstances or something which is there, which is pushing me, then that's a different matter. But psychologically when I depend, without work I feel miserable, I have to do something, I have to keep myself occupied, otherwise I become very restless. Some people do that. So that is because the mind has depended overly on that work. Their whole identity comes from work. I have to depend on the maid servants for work. This can go either way. It can be a functional dependency, but it can turn into a psychological dependency also. So,
More of psychological, because even servant doesn't come, you finish your work and you go.
that is true. You can do the work without a servant also. 1 day, 2 days. Suppose the person is out, then you had it.
Like you depend on them, as you said, functionally.
Yeah.
That's why you are depending on them. You are here right now. They are doing it.
Correct. So let that functional dependency happen. There is no problem. But suppose I say that that person has not come. It may be even little disturbing to the mind because now suddenly the plan has to change, which is also okay. But I have seen some people who become paralyzed. Although, ab kya hoga? Maid has not come. Now nothing can be done. One is stuck. And that whole thing comes out on the family member or somebody.
Then you fight with the servants.
Husband. So anyway, coming back, no discussion on husband and wife here right now. Because there are husbands and wives couples also sitting here. Okay, where are we now? I need the car to travel.
It's a psychological.
Again, this will be both functional and psychological. If I say that no, without car I will not go anywhere. There are people who do not go, they'll never use a public transport or a train or any other way. Car hai to chalenge, car nahi hai to nahi jayenge. Bas. If there is a flight, then I will go to this place. If there is no flight, I will not go. So that becomes psychological dependency. Cell phone is necessary to communicate. Cell phone is necessary to communicate. Even without cell phone you can communicate.
If you are outside somewhere and you want to
10
communicate
years
with
back when there were no cell phones, so they were not that much used. We still used to communicate.
but then
Today it has become a functional necessity. Yesterday what was a luxury, today has become a functional necessity. There is no doubt. But to communicate,
require.
You don't require. Even with the best of the technology, where what communication we are doing, human beings are going further away from each other. So the idea is that if there is a functional need, that's a different point. But again, this becomes a psychological one. My work is my passion. Is it dependency? No. No, it is not. It's work. I love my work. There's nothing. See, all this we are giving you because lots of misunderstandings are there about dependency. Because some people think that, if you really love your work, then you are dependent on it, then how can you be detached? No, you love your work, there's nothing wrong about that. It's your passion. Yeah. I feel miserable if I don't do my spiritual practice daily. Psychological dependency, very clear. That which should make you detached, you have got attached to that only. I should take medicine for my blood pressure. Functional dependency, necessary for the body, one should take it. I look forward to the company of my beloved. Not a dependency. That is a natural need. If you love somebody, you want to be with them. Normal, not a problem. Not a psychological dependency. How it will be? I just look forward. Suppose I am doing the work today and I have if I can't do without them, then that becomes a psychological. I look forward to the company of my beloved. I look forward. I'm excited about it. Suppose she doesn't turn up there, okay, fine. She didn't turn up. Why not? That I agree. Yeah, that is true. Before marriage I am talking about. After marriage, if she doesn't show up, very good. Then you had it. Yeah. It applies to both, okay? Not only to a man. Okay, so if I just look forward to the company, there is nothing wrong about that. But it depends, the mind disturbs, then it is a problem there. I love pizzas, burgers, french fries and pastas. Not a dependency. Money is the most important, without it nothing happens. Person to person. Without it nothing happens, functionally true. You require resource, money as a resource to buy something, get something. But psychologically it depends on my image, that is a psychological dependency. So here by itself it is, so without it nothing happens is a functional dependency. Is most important is a psychological dependency. It is not most important. Love is more important than money, peace is more important, truth is more important. It is not the most important thing. But it is needed. So this is a combination of functional and psychological in this one sentence. My child is my life. Dependency. Of course. 100%. My child is my life. Your child, your life is your life. How can your child be your life? That is a psychological dependency. I am not able to drop work when I have to. Psychological dependency. My guru will give me moksha. Psychological dependency. You have to get moksha by yourself. Guru is not going to give you moksha. So the people come and get attached like that. Guru, you give me moksha, I have come now, over. That's psychological dependency. So now these are different aspects. So dependency is something on which we rely for our sense of identity, for our sense of love, peace, happiness. And Shankaracharya here, he says that when we are children, then we are attached to the toys of childhood. Now somebody may say, but toys of childhood is so easy. It is so natural. Why will a child not depend on the toys of childhood? Do we expect the child to be detached from the toys of childhood? Idea is not that. The idea here is that in childhood we were dependent on toys. As we have grown, we have only shifted our object of dependency. We depend on money, position, power, status, people. But the tendency to depend has not gone, so we are still children only. And hence Shankaracharya says that Parame Brahmani kopi na sakta. Nobody is bothered about that absolute truth. That knowing which one becomes free. Why is it that we love dependency? That's the next question. Why does the mind love dependency? Why? Why does the mind love dependency? Mind feels secure. Okay. What else? You get your identity from there. That is dependency. But why does the mind depend on something for its identity? Okay. Because one doesn't know oneself as what is my nature, I don't know. So I depend. What I seek, I don't know. Then I am seeking it outside. Happiness, love, security is my nature. But I don't know that. So ignorance causes an emptiness inside. And I cannot face that emptiness. I want to run away from it. Then I start depending. Just think, can we spend time with ourselves? Just by ourselves. Some people can, some people can't. Few minutes they cannot be alone. They feel very restless, lonely. Suppose they don't have a phone to talk to somebody. There is no TV to see, there is no newspaper to read. You try doing that. One full day. I told you, that is a modern version of Upvas. One full day, no TV, no WhatsApp, no phone, no communication, no email, nothing. Just try to be with yourself. That a lot of things become easy when we are trained from childhood.
What is happening is we are shifting children from classes to classes, get them involved.
Right.
And the whole process, we are just munching on the bread. And then later on we realize that what we did was wrong.
Right. So they need to be equipped with skills, but also important it is that they are having leisure or they are having the time to be with themselves. And that quality has to be inculcated. So one is that I don't know who I am, hence I have a void within, and then because of the void I try to go out and depend on something and derive my sense of self-worth from there. That is the main cause of dependency. What else is the cause of dependency? Right. Whatever I am thinking is a source of pleasure or happiness, I get dependent on that. And whatever is a source of pain, I move away from that. So dependency starts when there is a brooding about pleasure and happiness. The more I brood on anything as a source of pleasure, the more dependent I become to that. It can be thing, person or a situation. The more I brood, that's why in Vedanta, in the Gita, 2nd chapter, Bhagavan says, Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsaha Sangasteshu Upajayate. When a person broods on sense objects, attachment rises. And that attachment creates the desire for the person that I must have this now. Sangat Sanjayate Kamaha. So brooding creates, fanciful imagination creates attachment or dependency. So 2 points. Any other reason why we depend? So point number 1 is ignorance, void or emptiness, right? Point number 2 is brooding. Anything else which creates dependency?
Habits, comfort.
But that is the dependency. Once you get dependent, that is the comfort zone you form. That is dependency. The synonym of a dependency is attachment. So, let us say, because of the notion of stability, because the mind is wavering, wandering, restless, it just wants to hook on to something or hold on to something, so that it's an escape from itself actually. Every form of dependency is an escape from oneself. Every form, whatever form of dependency it is. And that's why it is said you have to get out of that dependency. Because any dependency will not allow me to look at myself. And if I cannot turn my attention to myself, I cannot evolve. I will remain where I am. In fact, mind cannot remain where it is. So I will only go down. Because I depend on something, so I give the key of my happiness to something else. Then that controls my life. Fourth aspect is this, that we want to take charge of our lives, but at the same time we don't want to take charge also. It's a contradiction of human mind. That I don't want to take charge of my life. Let somebody manage it. That's the tamasic attitude. With my ideas. That's the contradiction. That let somebody do it for me, but according to the way I want. That's why one depends. The same thing, no? Why does a person depend on even a spiritual teacher? It's for that only. I want moksha, but I will not drop attachment, sense enjoyment, but you give me moksha. So I don't want to take control of life, then I start depending. So these are few reasons for dependencies. Now, what do we do to overcome that dependency? That is an important aspect to understand. The dependencies are there. Knowingly, unknowingly, one has got into some dependencies. Now, how do we get out of that? Sometime back we had done this program called Drop. So what are the things that you must drop in life to become light and to evolve? So the acronym of DROP was D for dependency, R for regret, O for obsession, and P for pessimism. So, obsession. So I'm just going to take a few points from that presentation which deal with dependency. Pessimism. So I should drop dependency, I should drop regret, I should drop obsession, and I should drop pessimism. If these four I can drop, I evolve very fast in life. This. This is the solution for it. Dependency, the solution is detachment. Regret, the solution is responsibility. Obsession, the solution is opportunity. And pessimism, it is positivity. We will not do the last three. Just the first one we will take up. As we move on in Bhaja Govindam, the others may come. So what is dependency? Relying on things, people, situation for happiness. Functional dependency is fine, but the psychological dependency, that should be dropped. So this is a psychological dependency. I cannot be happy if I don't get morning coffee, without iPhone, without money, without music, without this, without that. So those are the psychological dependencies.
All material things.
Things, people, situation, all the three. So we not only depend on objects, but we also define ourselves based on the objects. So that is the deeper function, psychological dependency. If I have the latest car, then I feel okay, I am the most successful person, or I am superior to some other people. So my sense of self-worth, my image, psychologically comes from there. And how much one compromises with one's values only for that sake. Because I have to have a certain standard, a certain status, certain image. People should think about me in this way. Nothing wrong if I desire something, do it with a righteous means, have it, enjoy it. But my sense of identity should not depend on that. That because of that I am worthier. No. So objects don't need us. We need objects, that is the psychological dependency. But the fact is something else. That without objects also I can be fine. That is the independence that one has to cultivate. So these are different levels of dependency. Physical dependency, where I depend on comfort zone with my things and my habits. So one should introspect and find out what are those things and what are those habits on which I am dependent at the physical level. It may be certain types of food, certain types of things that I have, certain comforts. Some people are even attached to their pillow. They can't sleep. Such. You have to carry the pillow everywhere. Gurudev in his times, he used to joke about dependency. So he used to say that people come all the way from different parts of India to Siddhabari, and they want to learn about detachment and freedom and moksha and all that, and then they get attached to the pillars. In the satsang hall, there will be some 5-7 pillars only. So they come early and come and sit off with that backrest with the pillar. And it's their pillar. So if somebody else is sitting and this fellow has come late, he'll say, get up, this is my pillar. He said, pillar belongs to the ashram, and how did it become your pillar and you are sitting here fighting with somebody? But there are people like that, dependent. Yeah, they'll make you move also. उठो अभी यहाँ से, ये मेरी जगह है. हाँ. So anyway, that is, so physically what are the things that I depend upon? At a deeper level, even it becomes what they call in psychology substance dependency. They start using drugs, they start using certain things, and they addict their body to it. So physical dependency makes us dependent on the objects. Emotional dependency is where I feel dependent on people, and without that I feel nobody loves me, or I feel victimized by life. So I don't take charge of my mind, my emotions. Arjun was in the state of emotional dependency. It may seem natural to us. See, dependency is such a thing, now it will look very natural. But there is a heavy price that we pay for the dependency. And there is nothing greater than freedom. Where I can be loving to people, yet I am free. I am not dependent, nor are they dependent on me. Intellectual dependency is where I rely on situations for my happiness, or a certain ideology, certain pattern of thinking. That defines my intellectual dependency. So I cannot accommodate somebody else. Suppose I say that I believe in this particular philosophy, or this is my view of life, that democracy is the best, or let us say capitalism is the most practical philosophy, whatever. I believe in that, and I am so stuck to that I cannot be flexible to accommodate anybody else intellectually. I am an atheist, bas, full stop. Now I have come to that conclusion. Continue. There are so many of them who are like that. Some of them who are dualists, they will just be so fanatic about that belief that this alone is the truth. That you can be only a servant of God and you have to only keep serving God, nothing else. Don't even think about you and God being one or you and God being, part and whole. Nothing. Only this. This is the only God, no other God. One is stuck. So now these are dependencies from physical, emotional, intellectual, and spiritual dependencies also are there. As I said about the philosophy, some people depend on the concept of a certain God, certain people depend on a guru. So all these which are the psychological dependencies, one has to overcome. Broadly we have written that how these dependencies on object, people and situations, they create the trouble. These are the equations. So I plus object is equal to happiness. This is the basic equation of dependency. Now that equation has various shades. But I plus iPad is equal to happiness, I plus pizza is equal to enjoyment, I plus wealth is equal to security, I plus this person is equal to love, I plus promotion is equal to success. These are all different shades, but all of them translate into dependency. That I cannot be happy by myself, I need something else to hold on to. So these are our dependency equations. These are equations which we have to find out in our mind what are the types of equations we have. Because one of the main reasons why we should be free from dependency is directly proportional to sorrow. The greater my dependency, the greater is my sorrow. Lesser my dependency, lesser is the sorrow. And no dependency, no sorrow.
Spiritual dependency can be a better kind of dependency. Because people just shift.
Yeah. See, from the standpoint of independence, no dependency is better. But in the process of becoming independent, if the spiritual dependency is used as a temporary means, then there is no problem. Then there is an issue there. And see, why does a mind need to be dependent even spiritually? Because the mind which has been trained to be dependent throughout its journey till now, suddenly cannot drop everything at one shot. So it can only hold on to something higher and drop the lower. So that's the technique by which one gets detached. You get attached to something higher, you drop the lower. That's what he's saying, yeah. Parame Brahmani kopi na sakta. So get attached to the concept of moksha or freedom or God or guru. But remember, that is not the goal. It doesn't end there. It is a means for me to drop all other dependencies. Like Gurudev used to give the example, two examples he used to give. One is of the sleep. So when I want to sleep, I hold on to that thought that I want to sleep, and with that thought I drop every other thought. And I just invoke sleep. When I invoke sleep, that thought also gets sucked into the sleep when I actually sleep. But if I did not have that thought that I want to sleep, it will not go. Other thoughts will keep coming. And second example he gave was the famous example of the pole vault. So the pole vaulter, he takes the pole and uses that, pitches it into the block hole and then goes up. Then drops the pole to go across the bar. Now if in the beginning only the pole vaulter says that, I have to anyway drop the pole, so why even hold it? I drop it now only. Then one remains where one is. So holding on to the higher, one drops the lower. So desire for moksha will help you to drop all other desires. And desire for moksha by itself also will go at the last stage. Right. So this is the source of these equations. So one is that we have to sit quietly. The exercise that you can do when you go home is, you write down your equations of dependency. That I plus this is equal to this. This is my equation. And the moment you become aware of that equation, the process of detachment already starts. See, one thing which sustains dependency is lack of awareness. And second, lack of acknowledgement. Both. Lack of awareness is, I don't know that I am dependent on this. I am ignorant. A lack of acknowledgement is I know it, but I will not accept it because of some issue, How can I be dependent, No, this is not a dependency. This is just a functional thing. Some justification the mind has. So one will not acknowledge. Till these two don't happen, no, you cannot get over dependency. I have to accept that yes, there is a dependency, there is an attachment here, and I have to get over it. There should not be any equation in the mind which is saying that attachment is equal to bad person. If you have attachment, you are not a bad person. If you are attached, you are not a materialistic person. That equation, when it is formed, that we don't like that equation, so we don't want to acknowledge the fact that there is an attachment. Suppose I have a toothache, what will I do? Go to a dentist. Will I say that what an idiot I am, how can I have a toothache? How stupid that I got a toothache. I am a very bad person because I got a toothache. No, one just understands, okay, there is a tooth pain, I need to go. Same way, mind has a certain attachment. Now I have to treat it, let it go. What we do is we brand psychologically. Because somewhere we think that being attached is equal to being worldly, is equal to being a bad person, is equal to an unspiritual person. So all these equations when we form, then we don't want to acknowledge also sometimes. So here, once we understand, okay, this is my attachment. When I write that equation which is in my head, I plus this is equal to happiness. Then I not only become aware, then let me acknowledge, okay, there is this attachment. And let me see how to get over it. How do we form? This is the sequence which I just said. Second chapter of the Gita gives us this, that brooding or fanciful imagination leads to attachment, which leads to desire, which leads to anger or greed. If the desire is fulfilled, it will lead to greed. If the desire is not fulfilled, it will lead to anger. So, first step is to be aware of the equation. Second step is to see where am I brooding over these. How am I giving power to these to become deeper and deeper and deeper. In photography, earlier, when the camera rolls used to be there, so it is said that negatives are developed in the dark. Right? Same way in our life. Negatives are developed in the dark areas of the mind where we are not aware. All the negativities, brooding, imagination, attachment, all that is developed in the dark. The moment you bring the light of awareness and acknowledgement, it gets exposed and then it is easy to overcome them. So this sequence is what we follow. So if I want to be detached, I should not brood over things. Then I can drop the other attachments. If I continue to brood over new things, new situations, that I plus this is equal to happiness. When I get this promotion, then this will happen. When I go there, then that will happen. That will build more and more attachment. Nothing wrong with promotion, nothing wrong with going anywhere. But that brooding creates the problem. So as we saw, so why do we depend? A deep need to be saved from inner loneliness and emptiness. I don't want to face, so that's why I depend. And I also depend because of my habits and conditioning. I was not aware and I got into a habit. Let us say same example of coffee. I got attached to that coffee. Because from childhood I have been fed coffee as soon as I got up. Now I've got attached because of my habit. And now it's a conditioning that I must have coffee in the morning. Now if I recognize that this is a psychological dependency, then I will take step to overcome it. If I don't recognize it as a dependency, I think it is a need, the reverse will happen. If I don't get coffee, I'll get angry on the person. You know that I need coffee, why you didn't make it for me? It will become as though it is my birthright, legitimate thing that this has to happen and you know it, and why you did not give still. So habits and conditioning. Yes, ignorance of one's own nature and false ideas about happiness. These are the causes why we depend. Shall I ask you one PJ about... So okay, let me ask you. If you know the answer, keep quiet. Meaning if you have heard from me before, otherwise you can tell. Why was the yogi not able to vacuum his carpets? He doesn't have a carpet. No.
Vacuum cleaner.
He doesn't have a vacuum cleaner. No, the question has an assumption that he has a carpet and a vacuum cleaner. Why was there no electricity? Arey, it's a PJ Baba, don't give straightforward answer. Why was the yogi not able to vacuum his carpets? Huh? He didn't know how to use it.
Because he was sitting on his carpet.
Oh, even sitting you can vacuum. His carpet was not dirty.
Yogi, you assume that he would not have these carpets and vacuum cleaner.
No, it is very simple. Yogi was not able to vacuum his carpet because he lost all his attachments. Vacuum cleaner comes with attachments, no? Oh God. So the yogi lost all the attachments, so he could not vacuum the carpet cleaner. So anyway. So now, one aspect to think about is a fundamental aspect which we have thought earlier, so I'm going to go ahead. That we spoke about it in the earlier classes, that what do I really seek, from where do I seek, and how do I get it, right? So one has to ask oneself that what do I really want? Do I want all these for themselves, or do I want something else through these? So when I question this fundamental shift in the thinking has to happen, because my notion about happiness is very different, and that's why I'm dependent. So the more and more I ask myself, do I really want these for the sake of these, or do I want these for the sake of happiness? So when I really want happiness, then the whole inquiry shifts, the whole standpoint shifts. That they don't give happiness, they bring some pleasure. So the person will not become psychologically dependent if this clarity is there. Anytime I become dependent on anything, I have to again and again ask myself, what do I need from this? What is that which I am benefiting from this? And is that my real need? Because if my real need is satisfied, I will be fulfilled in life. We spoke about it, that wants get fulfilled, but wanting does not get fulfilled. Because of this. Because my basic demand, which is for happiness, that is not getting fulfilled. Pleasure I am getting. To give a limited example, when I am hungry and I eat food, so I get temporarily satisfied. But then again the hunger is there, so again I will crave for something. Same thing happens to the mind. So the hunger is still there inside for happiness. So even if my desire is getting fulfilled, for some time I feel happy, then again I am out. Because I am not getting actually what will satiate it totally. And so if I keep asking that, my inquiry will turn towards the source of happiness, rather than just running behind fleeting pleasure and the various objects. That is how a person turns. So they don't make us really happy, and how long do they make us happy? They make us happy for such a short time. So a person, this is called discrimination. A person who does that vivek will not run behind the objects, will not chase the objects. And one who understands that happiness is not in the things. These are all the fundamental logics in spirituality. That if happiness was in the things, it would give the same happiness to everybody. And to the same person also, the same thing will give same amount of happiness. But that doesn't happen. Marriage is a classic example. Before, after. Sense object, enjoyment, food, entertainment, everything. Same object does not continue to give me same amount of happiness. So which means what? That they don't have the capacity to keep me happy. I am giving them that power. They may give a certain pleasure, certain temporary joy. And modern conveniences, luxuries, they increase that capacity. They tap more of the sense powers. So more sense enjoyments one can experience. But happiness one doesn't fulfill. So that's why even with all the luxuries, comforts that we have today, which are more than yesterday, more than the past, we still are more stressed out. Because further and further away one goes from one's own self. Yeah. One's own true nature, the more further one goes, the more stressed out one will be. So where is happiness? It is within us, it's a state of mind, and deeper state is we are happiness, not only the state of mind. Our nature is Ananda. So the cure for dependency is right knowledge first. Then other things will follow. The wrong notion in my head, the wrong equations in my head, they have to go first. No amount of simply doing some practice will help us to be free. In Bhaja Govindam only it will come. I may keep doing lots and lots of japa, I may keep doing lot of yatra and any kinds of puja and havan and anything. I may even deny myself certain objects. By itself they will not help. If the equations in my mind continue to remain what they are, that I plus something is equal to happiness. And why will that equation remain? Only when I don't inquire, when I don't think on these fundamental points. That happiness does not lie anywhere outside. Happiness is a state of mind. And what state of mind is it? It is a state of a free mind. Otherwise it's a very good dialogue. What is happiness? State of mind. Which state of mind? A mind which is not dependent. That state of mind is happy. Otherwise anger also is a state of mind, love also is a state of mind, greed also is a state of mind. So which state of mind? Happiness is a state of mind which is free, which is not dependent. And hence to get over of dependencies is called conscious evolution. That is what spirituality is about. Even if one dependency I get out of, to that extent I feel so free, liberated. Imagine the life of people who are absolutely free. People like Gurudev or Vivekananda or Mirabai, no dependency at all. How free their mind will be. How free they live their life. Nothing can make them miserable. Mirabai could drink the poison given to her without a sense of agitation. Her own husband gave. Prahlad's father was torturing him, but he never said that, oh God, see what a victim of child abuse I am and my father only is torturing me. What has come to me? Nothing. Because free. Mind is not dependent at all. So even one dependency. And it will not go by itself. See, one should not take a different meaning of this verse, that by time anyway I will get over dependency. Like how in childhood I have dropped the toys, youth I have the attachment to the youth pleasures. When I grow old I'll drop attachment to those. It is not that by time one gets over dependency. It is only by conscious effort one gets over dependency. Childhood example has that limitation, that toys we get over. But other dependencies we don't get over by itself. They may become dormant, that is a different point. So we have to put effort to get out of dependency, and that's why he says Parame Brahmani Kopi na Saktaha. There is little more to cover about this that we will take up in the next session. Next session is next Sunday. No, we don't have next Sunday because we are going there. So next Sunday we don't have. Week after that. It is 7th. Yeah.
But then that will be the first Sunday.
First Sunday of we can have that.
No, I don't know what dates I've given. Just check. 30th was given, but then when I gave it, we did not have this particular program. Now there's some program which has come up at the ashram. 7th is there? 7th and 14th. Okay. 14th because meditation camp is there, yeah. 7th and 21st, right. 7, 21, 28 of July will be the next sessions. So you may be aware that on 29th this month, this next Saturday, we are having a workshop at West End Hotel, how to slow down in a fast world. So that is from 2:30 to 5:30, Hotel West End, Marine Lines. You are welcome to come. You want to introduce somebody new, they can also come. It will be a nice, interesting workshop to do. This Saturday, coming Saturday, how to slow down in a fast world. And meditation camp is from 9th to 14th July. Whoever wants to register, please register. 2 to 5, sorry, not 2:30 to 5:30, 2 to 5. 2 to 5 is the workshop, slow down in a fast world workshop. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.